Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Myra from Low Carb Love, and today we're gonna be making birria tacos. So right now it's a really big trend where people are making birria and then making tacos and dipping it into the consomme. Let's just get started. I wanna show you how easy this is to make, but you guys are gonna be blown away. We're gonna get started with our meat. So this one here, we're using a brisket flat, and we are using a little over 2.5 pounds. So we're just gonna open this up, rinse it really quickly, and get started. Okay, so we quickly rinsed everything off. Now we're gonna go ahead and place that right into our bowl. Now, if you have a pressure cooker, of course, this can be made in the pressure cooker. But I know not everybody has one, so I'm gonna show you guys how to make this stovetop. But if you are using your pressure cooker, then in the description below, I'll leave the directions so that you guys can make it, okay? Now, we have our meat in here. What we're gonna do is add our onion. So here we're gonna use about a quarter, I would say about a quarter of a large onion. So we're gonna go ahead and put this, and we're saving this for the sauce that we're gonna make. So we're just gonna set it aside. And now we're gonna put in our little garlic cloves. And we're gonna use about 2 large garlic cloves. I love garlic. You can use, you know, a few more if you'd like. In my opinion, you can never use like too much garlic. But that's basically what we're doing here. And now we're gonna go ahead and add 9 cups of water. So we're gonna go ahead and just pour this in. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so we're just gonna do about a teaspoon of salt. And we are going to, so now we're gonna go ahead and put this stovetop. We're gonna get it started. I'm gonna walk you through it. So let's just go ahead and get it on the flame, on the fire, and then we will move on to the next step. So now we're gonna go ahead and let that boil. And now let's move on to our salsa. So we're gonna make the sauce for our birria. Okay, so now we're gonna get started on our salsa. We're gonna have these two huge tomatoes. If you have, if yours are small, then you would use, I would say like 4, but these are really big, see? So we're gonna use 2, and we're just gonna quarter them. And then we're gonna use the rest of our large onion. So if you're using a whole onion for this, it would be about a medium-sized onion, okay? And we're just gonna cut this in half. We throw that in. We have the rest of our little garlic. I'm gonna throw that in. Okay, so now we're gonna do our chilies. So this is chile guajillo. I'm gonna list all the ingredients down below for you. Don't worry. The recipe is also gonna be on my website, lowcarblove.com. So you're gonna have all the details because you might not know what chile guajillo is, but this is what we're gonna use. We've already de-seeded them and clean them out, okay? So we're just throwing these little babies in, and these here are little chiles de arbol, and which is translated to like little tree chili. But it's chile de arbol. We're gonna use these little boys and throw those in, okay? So lastly, once you have everything in, this is what it's gonna look like, okay? See that? Beauty. And this is all flavor. This is like flavor. And we have our water. So let's just go ahead and put in the water. And this is what we're starting with, because sometimes when you're making a recipe like this, you might need to add a little bit more, but obviously I'm gonna walk you through everything, so don't even worry about that. Right now, we're just gonna get this started. We already have obviously our meat's boiling. I'm gonna show you the next step on the meat because you do have to skim it. Anyway, let's go over there. We're gonna go ahead and cook our salsa and also do the next step on the meat. Okay, so as you can see, the meat is boiling, and typically your meat can have a little bit of like a film, and so this is when you would basically skim it off. But this meat turned out great and it doesn't have anything on there, so we're just gonna let it be. Okay, after you've already skimmed it, you're gonna cover and then lower your heat, and now we're gonna let it simmer for about 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, or until about fork tender. And then back here, we see we're making our salsa, and we're just gonna let that boil and do its thing. And now we're gonna move back to the counter and we're gonna get started with our spices. Okay, so now our salsa has boiled, and we're gonna now put in our seasonings. So I'm gonna go over them quickly as I'm putting them in so that you know what to add, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our oregano, and we're just gonna throw everything right in, okay? So it's oregano. Okay, and now we have our cumin seeds. So we're gonna just throw that in. And then we have peppercorns, and these are obviously crushed, but peppercorns, because it's very different than pepper. So peppercorns. And then we have 2 little cloves. Look at how cute those are. Little cloves. We have a little cinnamon stick. It's probably, you know, they're usually about this big. So this is probably like 1/3 of a cinnamon stick. Okay, we're just gonna toss that right in. And then we have our thyme. We are adding a little bit of thyme. Okay, so if you guys are making this with me, this is a time where we are throwing in all of our seasonings, okay? And this is so this is another spice that we need. Honestly, I don't even know how to pronounce this. If you know, this is how you spell it. But I don't know if it's marjoram, something along those lines. We're gonna add this in, okay? If you know, just comment down below. Let me know, you know, the correct pronunciation for that. And then lastly, we have our little bay leaves. So we're gonna toss these in, and those are all our spices. So now everything is in, and now we're just gonna give it a little mix. Okay, this is all flavor. Don't be a scared. Trust me, it is going to be delicious. And now we just cover. And we're gonna actually let this simmer for about I would say between 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna put it on the stove so we can move on to the next step. Okay, so now we have our salsa. So as you can see, everything has now boiled, and we let it set for about 15 minutes. So now we are going to strain it. And we're just going to hope it doesn't fall, because then it's over. Okay, so now we have our blender, so I'm just gonna throw in everything that we just, you know, everything that we just simmered. Okay, so we are pulling out our 2 little bay leaves. Tossing them out. Those are there just for flavor. And now we're gonna go ahead and blend. We took out the bay leaves and the little cinnamon stick. Okay, so we have the broth from the chili. And we're gonna use about half of this, okay? It's about that. And then we took out 2 cups from the broth, from the meat. So we're gonna do that to give it that flavor. Okay, now let's go ahead and blend. So we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt. We're gonna start with that, and then we're gonna give it a little blend. And this is obviously to taste. So you're just gonna blend it, taste it. Is it good on salt? And then just add until it's perfect. Our salsa's done. You can see it's starting to get a little thicker. The consistency is, everything's just coming together. And I ended up adding 2 additional teaspoons of salt. Again, this is gonna be to taste, so you're gonna taste it. Does it need a little more? We did 2 teaspoons of salt. This is now perfect. It's set, ready to go. My mom suggested that we add 2 chiles. These are ancho chilies. And again, I'm gonna put everything's gonna be in the recipe for you. If you do not find these chilies, it's going to be just fine. So don't worry about it. If you have them, then go ahead and add them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add that into our meat right now. Okay, so now that we're done with everything, we will be back in about an hour once our meat is a little more tender, and I'll show you what that will look like. So we're gonna set this aside. So right now we're about to add our salsa, but I'm just taking out a tiny bit of the broth, just in case. I'm gonna keep it on the side. And what we're going to do, now we're gonna go ahead and pour in our salsa right into our meat. Okay, so we're gonna throw 2 bay leaves back in. These are 2 new little bay leaves. We're gonna cover, and now we're gonna put back on the stovetop, and we're gonna let it simmer for about another 1.5 to 2 hours. So right now, even though it is cooked, it's still tough. So keeping it on the stovetop, what it's gonna do is just make it nice and tender. And anyway, I'm gonna show you. So for now, let's go ahead and put it back on, and I will show you what it looks like once it's nice and tender. So we are finally done with this recipe. It took us a few hours, but it is so worth it. I actually already took some of the meat out, but I want you to see this meat because, yes, girl, yes. Super tender. So the meat is all ready. This meat can actually be served in tacos. You can serve it in a plate, top it with cilantro and onion and lime, and you know, eat it up that way. But we're actually going to make tacos. These are some low carb tortillas. I'm gonna link them down below. These are from A La Madre, and I do have a discount code, which is lowcarblove. And I will put the link down below. But this is what we're gonna use to make our tacos. So let's get started. Let's move over to the stove because we're gonna make those tacos that you see on TikTok and you see on YouTube. That's us now. We're doing it. All right guys, so now for my favorite part of this entire video. Trust me, I have waited all day for this because it has been slow cooking. And anyway, here is the final product. We have our birria tacos. So let me know if you would have done anything different. Let me know if you would have added anything. I mean, honestly, these are serious perfection, but you know, we all have different tastes, and I'd love to hear what you think of my tacos. But look at this. I mean, how can you even, I mean, you just have to make this. Like, this is just a must. So let's go in for the taste test. Holy moly. Wow, this is like everything I expected and more. So believe it or not, I've never had one of the tacos that I've seen all over the place. I've passed taco trucks. I've heard like friends tell me about certain places that are so bomb. But it's my first time making the actual tacos. They're a winner. Super winner. Like if you make this dish, you have to make them in tacos like this. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is probably one of my absolute favorite recipes. I mean, you can't go wrong with birria. You can make this for parties. If you really want to wow like a family member, or like, you know, you just want to look super chef life, you have to make this for your fam. Yeah, or just a special dinner. This is just one of those recipes that's so delicious, and you are just going to really enjoy it and feel so satisfied when you're eating it. So I hope you enjoyed this. This recipe is actually on lowcarblove.com, where you can actually print the recipes now. And I have recipes on there that are exclusive, and you're not gonna find them anywhere else. So make sure you check that out. It's linked down in the description below. And if you still want a little more of me, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, where I share more recipes and just a glimpse into my everyday life. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you love this recipe. I can't wait to hear your feedback on it, and I will see you on the next video. Mwah.